Hey guys, welcome to Unit 1 of the Coronavirus Religion Lesson Plans. Let's begin. Alright, so today we're going to be learning about discernment and vocation. This is a vocations class. We're going to be talking a lot about marriage up ahead here, but marriage is a vocation, and you need to know how to discern it, and how to discern lots of things in life. So, vocation, discernment, God's will. Obviously, what you want to be discerning is God's will in everything. Otherwise, what's the point? Why are you trying? Why are you a Christian, right? And then finally, I need to teach you guys the difference between a primary vocation and secondary vocations, okay? Just because there's some difference in, well, you'll see. Okay, so, all right, so first of all, what does this word even mean? Oh, this is a random word. What's it mean? Okay, here's what it means. Vocation, voca, vocal, you see where this is going? Vocal, call, this is where you get the word call. This is actually the Latin origin, okay? To call, it's a calling, all right? Now, if somebody's calling you, the question is, who's calling you? God's calling you, okay? So vocation is a calling from God, okay? It's a verb, okay? Well, it's not a verb, but it is, and somebody's doing the action, and somebody's receiving the action. God's the one doing the calling, you're the one receiving the calling. Okay, so in other words, a vocation is a calling. It's a mission from God, okay? It's your destiny. It's your end goal in life, all right? Whatever it's supposed to be, all right? And there's lots of different vocations, all right? And so we need to learn what's your primary vocation, all right? So this is 3 different ways of saying the exact same thing. First of all, you got to get to the center room of your castle. That's your primary vocation, and you only have one. You only have one primary vocation. Your primary vocation is to get to the center room of your castle, all right? That castle, that your soul, right? Where God lives, to be unified with God, all right? Another way of saying this is to become a saint, all right? Now, you're like, oh, well, what's a saint? You know, I mean, whatever. No. Here's what a saint is. A saint is a near-perfect human. That's all it is.
No, you've made a mistake. I mean, I can't be I'm just...
John C. That's all it is. Saint doesn't mean that you don't live life, okay? Saint means that you're a near perfect human, okay? It means that you've got to the point of near perfection. If any human got there, they're a saint, okay? And humans who don't get there, not a saint. So the best version of yourself is your moral responsibility to become everything you could be. You have to become the best version of yourself. That's what being a saint is, okay? Now, when you think about a saint, what do you think about? Right? You think about this. And you're like, okay, well, who'd want to be this? Nobody would want to be this, right? First of all, you're in a stained glass window. Sorry, I'm still sick. Not the corona. Actually, this is what a saint looks like. I mean, the other one was a saint too, but this is also what a saint looks like. Okay? Bam! Right there. That is a saint. Okay? Now, you're like, who's this kid? This kid, that's actually kind of sad. Showing these slides to my wife last night. She just started crying when I brought this up. Anyways, this kid died in 2006. Okay, I'm not going to say how he died, all right? It wasn't corona. He died in 2006, okay? And right now, he is currently named Venerable, which is like the first out of 3 steps to being named a saint, okay? This kid's a teenager. This kid's like your guys' age. I actually think this kid's younger than you guys, okay? What does that mean? Okay, that means that this kid, who's younger than you guys, is currently on the path to sainthood. I mean, he died, so he would have been on the path to sainthood. But what this means is, if you live your life and don't even become a saint, you're first of all, you failed your mission in life. You failed God's calling. Second of all, this kid did what you couldn't even do in 60 years or 80 years, however long you're going to live, in like 16 years. Okay? So look, you can be a normal person and be a saint. All it means is that you're being the best version of yourself on a day-to-day basis. Okay? Okay, let's continue. All right, your vocation is a spiritual task. Okay? Why am I saying this? Why am I emphasizing the spiritual? Because everything in life is spiritual. Everyone is spiritual. So there you go, top left. Everyone's spiritual. There's no religious and non-religious. Everyone wants to boil everything around like, oh, I'm not a very religious person, or, oh, this is like a non-spiritual activity. No. Everything's a spiritual activity. Doing the dishes for your family is a spiritual activity. You're becoming the best version of yourself. Sitting down and watching football is a spiritual activity. Hopefully you are relaxing and not just spending hours and hours watching this game after that game after that game. Same thing you can say with video games or TV or whatever. Okay, you can do anything overboard. Okay, that's a spiritual aspect. You're either moving towards perfection, you're either moving towards the divine, top right there, or you're moving away from it. You're either moving towards God in the middle of your soul, or you're moving away from it. Okay, and if you're not moving towards God in your soul, where are you? Right? You're probably outside the castle. So in the bottom right there, you're living like an animal. If you're ignoring your spiritual nature, because people are like, oh, I'm not religious, or oh, I'm not spiritual. No. Everyone is spiritual. If you say you're not spiritual and you don't notice the spirituality in the everyday matters, it's not that you're not spiritual. It's just that you're literally a deaf mute. You're not a full human yet. You're still living like an animal. You're living like the reptiles outside the castle in the darkness, right? In that interior castle. Okay. Bottom left, everything's spiritual. Okay. I think I already highlighted that. All right. So to boil it down, it's these three things. I just said these. Your primary vocation is to become the best version of yourself. Okay. To become a saint. That requires going into the central room of your castle, of your soul, meeting God there, being unified to God there. And what does that require? As you knew from the interior castle section, that requires prayer. Okay, so when you pray, that's one of the steps of discernment. Okay, so when you're discerning, where do I go? What do I do? All right, how do I get to the center room of my castle? Oh no, there's a problem. There's multiple doors ahead of me. Which one do I go through? One of them's not God's will, right? I got so many choices in life. I got so many vocations. What's God's will? What do I do? Okay, there's multiple paths. What do? You discern which one is the right path, okay? And you can have different ways, different options, all right? So first of all, who do you date, okay? You could date John, or you could date Paul. I mean, they're both good candidates. You got John's a pirate, okay? Like, obviously, great option, okay? Paul's a Viking, right? Now, if you ask me, it's clear. You should date Viking Paul. But if you ask God, you'd want to sit, you would want to pray, you would want to discern, you would want to think about, you would want to figure out who you're supposed to marry in life. Mr. Green, aren't Vikings basically just Nordic pirates? Shut up, me from the past. You and your luscious locks. Okay. So another one is what job do I get? You know, what am I gonna do in life? I could be an engineer, right? Mechanical engineer or whatever kind of engineer, industrial. I don't know the types anymore. Or doctor. You know, what do? I don't know. I'm at a loss. I clearly like money. I don't know. I like helping people, so maybe doctor. But I also feel like I just have more of a passion for, you know, mathematics and like simple, logical, cohesive steps and things. So maybe I'll be an engineer. I don't know. It could be something big like that, or it could be something as little as, how should I reply to a person online, right? Oh, you could respond cordially, even though this person is pissing you off. You could say, you know what, I totally want to, you know, respond not nice, but I'm gonna respond how God would want me to respond, right? Or eviscerate them, right? Now, I'll be honest, the second option, almost never the right option, okay? Maybe 1% of cases. Sometimes, I don't know. Maybe you should never eviscerate. I don't know. I'm not very good with that. So same thing. Maybe if you're lost, I should have thrown this in earlier. How do you discern? What is discernment? Okay, discernment means to distinguish, to figure out, to wisely decide, to ponder, to see the differences between things. Okay, discerning is to decide on something. You want to discern. You know what? Would it be best if I ate apple pie or cherry pie right now? Answer, neither of them. Strawberry rhubarb. Okay? So an example, I am discerning whether or not to give you a piece of my mind. Okay? I'm deciding whether or not I want to just absolutely tell you what's going on right now. Okay? I'm discerning whether or not I should use the bathroom before we go on this hour car ride. Okay? Random phrases with the word in it. All right? How do you discern? Well, there's three ways, really. I really should have turned practicing into acting, but praying, thinking, and practicing, or acting, like the physical, okay? So you can pray, you want to sit and pray about it. God, what's your will? And part of figuring out his will is praying, but also part of it is just thinking about it. Like, okay, logically, what's best here, okay? And we'll get into strategies about that Thursday, and then practicing. Like, go out and actually do something. Live it, you know? You might be like, oh, I totally want to join the military. I totally want to be a doctor. I totally want to do this. Then all of a sudden, you're in med school, and you're like, no, I'm out. Or you're in the military, and you're like, you know what? I actually have some opinions about this. I'm not about this. Or you're dating this person, and you're like, you know what? I thought we were a thing. We should never be a thing, right? Just like Pirate John. It should never be a thing. All right. So here's some examples of God's will for your life, all right? So here's some vocations. So job, okay. So you could say this is God's plan for you. Become a therapist. Marry Sarah and achieve personal holiness. Okay, these are 3 different vocations. One is a job. One, a spouse, relationship. Another is your primary vocation, to achieve personal holiness. So you can never get rid of that first one, okay? So you could say this is the package of what God has planned for an individual person. But now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, wait, this seems oddly specific. Like, what if you mess up in the plan? Okay, well, that begs the question, how does God's will work? Okay, so there's 2 theories on this. One is God has an original plan. God has one specific plan for you in every area of your life. Okay, so there's only one plan. If you mess up on that plan, good luck. Every other plan isn't as good as the original plan of God's. Okay, the original plan, the OG plan, that was the best one. All right. The second option is that there's multiple paths. All right. So God has a number of plans for you, and you get to choose from those basically. And we'll get to that idea, co-creator. We'll get to that idea on Thursday as well. God has some plans for you, and then He has plans that He definitely doesn't have for you. Okay. So the question is, little decide time. Which one do you think? How do you think God works? I'll come back with the spoiler after this short break. All right, have you decided which way that God works in life? All right, well, my answer is I don't know. LOL. I'm pretty sure God works in both these ways, okay? I think sometimes there's very clear God has this plan for your life. There's no other, like He wants you here. And then I think in other situations, in that one plan, God wants you somewhere, everything else is not as good. I do think that's true in some circumstances, but I think those circumstances are very rare. On the other hand, multiple plans for your life, I think that's most of the time the right option. I don't think God has just like, you know what, you better become an engineer, or like, you know what, you living out my will, you suck in life. Like, everything else is going to be not as good for you. Like, no way. Like, this is God we're talking about. Like, you can go, there's tons of things you could become, and God will lead you down that. He'll lead you to holiness. He'll lead you where you need to be. He's got you, as long as you're constantly figuring out, you know, what's His will in these circumstances. He's got you. There are multiple doors that you could go through, and I think that should take off a lot of stress. So if you're planning, you know, what college do I want to go to? What kind of job do I want to get? What's going on in life? That should give you some peace. This multiple plan should give you some peace. Like, you need to realize you have multiple doors you can go down, and God has a great plan for you in each of those, okay? I think when there's like one original plan, God makes it very, very clear. So if you're very, very confused, and this isn't true across the board, but probably God doesn't have just one plan for you in that, okay? Probably there's multiple options that are all great that God will take you down, okay? Thanks, Andrew. All right. So what if you choose contrary to God's will? Okay, so let's kind of take that example. So let's say you're this little mouse. We'll say gerbil. You're this little cute gerbil, all right? Let's say these blue options are all God's original plan for you. They're His number one. If you discerned properly from day one, you know, timeline A, right? This is where you would go. All right. You would be the blue option. So you're supposed to be a chemist. You're supposed to marry Sarah, and you're supposed to meet some friends, Tom and Rachel. Okay. Now the yellow options down here, these are kind of like your alternates. These are, oh, you messed up, you didn't discern that, or you chose something contrary to God's original will for you. Here's the thing. These are God's, I don't want to say their backup will, but they're like His alternate will. Now, a lot of people think, oh, it's His alternate will. It's not as good. No. God decides how good something is. And if God's involved, it's good. Okay? God takes all things good. He makes all things good. Okay? He makes all things new, right? Revelation. Okay. So here we go. So you're going? Oh, well, sorry. I'm not following my own slides here. What if I choose something contrary to God's will? Answer, God can make up for it. God has a plan to that. God has a plan for everything, all right? God has a plan for that. So here we go. You go, okay, you discerned. All right, where should I go? Should I go to this college for chemistry, or should I go to this college for teaching? Okay, turned out God preferred you to be a chemist. You got more joy in that. You felt like that was where you were supposed to go. There are a host of reasons that you decided to go there. Awesome. You figured it out. That's where God wanted you primarily. All right. Now, okay, you're supposed to meet Sarah. You're supposed to marry Sarah here. Oh, you know what? You screwed it up for whatever reason. You didn't go for Sarah, or you messed things up because, you're an idiot. Some things in your life that you weren't supposed to be doing happened, and you ruined your chances with Sarah. Okay, doesn't matter. There's not one soulmate in life. We'll get to that as we get further into the marriage section here. Okay, so it doesn't matter. There's an alternate. You got Nurse Joy down here. All right, so bam, you got married to Nurse Joy. That's great. All right, now originally Tom, and Rachel over there, they were Sarah's friends, and you were in the A timeline supposed to meet them, and there were some things you were going to affect each other's lives. Now this kind of freaks you out, like the butterfly effect, right? If like one little thing, like God's will is for you to marry this person, that means you go ahead and meet all these different kinds of people, right? I have so many friends that I have because I married my wife Teresa, right? If I didn't marry her, if I didn't know her, I would never have met those people, all right? I would have probably met a whole host of different people, right, if I was with someone else. So, you're supposed to meet those people, but you didn't. Okay, so now instead of Tom, and Rachel, you met Billy and I don't know, Olga. Billy and Olga. All right. Now here's the thing: there's the alternate paths and normal paths. But no matter what alternates or originals exist for anything else in life, for all these secondary vocations, all right, you can never have an alternate to your primary vocation. You're always called to holiness. You're always called to good to God in the center of your soul, okay? So you can always take peace in that you can always mess up and rebound on your secondary vocations because your secondary vocations are changeable. Yes, God called you to be a chemist who married Sarah and you met Tom, and Rachel, okay? But actually, you could have lived a different life, and God makes up for that, and it's still a full, fulfilling life. You always have the ability to become a saint. Maybe you screwed things up with Sarah. Okay, now you're with Nurse Joy. Fine. But you always have the ability to become a saint. On your deathbed, you have the ability to become a saint. Now, don't take advantage of that. Because the kind of sainthood you achieve on your deathbed is way different than the kind of sainthood you could achieve if you actually, you can die moving towards God in the center of your soul. But I'm talking about actually getting to that center room. You can only get to that center room while you're alive, okay? And, it takes a process. That's the reason we're put on earth. In heaven, you don't get there, okay? You get speed tracked there. But that's like you're in heaven, so you're in God's presence, but you never really achieved it, all right? So it's okay, you got to lift, 250 pounds. Every room is 5-pound increase, all right? If you get sped tracked to that 250-pound weight room, all right, and now God puts some power gear on you to help you lift this 250 pounds, you don't actually have the strength to do that. You're not experiencing God the same way everybody else is, okay? So you got to do that now. Start now, guys. Here's a short video on exactly what's going on with this, okay? Here we go.
I'm here to help you understand how to better train your gerbil. Just like the hamsters, you do want to hold them a lot. You want to make them feel comfortable with you. If they do tend to bite you, you don't want to drop them immediately. They feel like they can keep biting you after that, and you will drop them. So you just want to be...
Okay, so primary versus secondary vocation. Your primary vocation, right, we talked about this, to the call to be mystically unified with God. You always have a shot at this, okay? No matter what part in life, get to that center room, get to the light that's bursting out, right, in the center of your soul, okay? No matter how much you mess up, no matter how much you sin, you can always turn back, always get to that, always get out of the darkness, living like an animal, like a reptile. Your secondary vocation, All right, is the plans God has for your life, your job, your love life, your family, the major and minor situations in life. They're secondary because they can change and because they're different for everybody. Okay, so you mess these up, it's okay. You still got a chance. You still got things. Things can be fine. Okay. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Get ready to go on Thursday with another. It'll be a slightly longer little video thing with some work attached on Thursday. I think that's probably how we'll do this. Probably put out a bigger video on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then have like an assignment once a week for you to really catch up on how we're doing this. Okay? All right. Catch you guys next time.